Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of the AI for Interior Designers podcast. I am your host, Jenna Gaidusek, and I have our very first guest with us today. Kasey Hayano is here from Home Visualizer AI, and she's going to tell us all about this product that she has that can help homeowners, but also like interior designers with creating incredible visuals in a different way than what we would typically do with Dolly, Midjourney, and generative text prompting. So, hey Kasey, how are you doing today?
Hey, Jenna, I'm awesome. Thanks for having me.
Of course, I am very excited to be talking about this because you've let me test your product out for a little bit and I've kind of been watching it just get better and better before my eyes. So it's really amazing. Do you want to tell us what it is and how it works?
Yes, and that makes me so happy to hear that it's been improving because that's totally our goal and what we want it to do. So, Home Visualizer AI started just a few weeks ago. We launched a little over 3 weeks ago, Fridays ago, which feels like years ago. But we really launched in aiming to help homeowners revisualize their homes in different ways. And ultimate goal is to help folks see different styles, right, and have that creativity. But with interior designers too, I think a whole host of options to really make AI accessible, right? It's a friendly tool. It's really intuitive, something that should be very simple to use. And it also is built off of Stable Diffusion, which is a very different type of more customizable, technically, creative process that we could use to make it a little more photorealistic.
Okay, that's awesome. So I have been running a few, like my kitchen design through here, and I've been exploring some of the preset options that you had for styles. Do you want to just kind of give us an overview? Because it is a podcast, we don't have the video here of like the live example. Kind of tell us and walk us through how it works.
Yeah, so it's really super simple. Once you log in, you create an account, you get some credits in there. We have this thing called a studio where you can simply upload a photo of your room, select from a preset list of currently 10 room styles, and we're only aiming to add in more needs. And then select your room type, and boom, create a visual output that can kind of give you some ideas. We recently launched an advanced version of the studio that allows someone to create custom design requests as well, especially for designers that might have more of a specific vision, let's say blue cabinets, marble countertops, gold fixtures. That's something that you could request the AI model to create. But we're still in beta mode, trying to make sure that AI is creative, but also as specific as possible to what our designers need. So we're working on, making sure that AI model is really listening as well.
Okay, that's awesome. So the difference here between if you were to just add a prompt to Midjourney and type in a paragraph or Dolly and create an image, what's the main difference between what your program does with Stable Diffusion and what those programs can do?
Yep. So for us, we really take the prompting confusion and difficulties away from the process with the whole drop down menu, just select a style, room, and go, right? And I think that's part of our goal of making AI more accessible, right? I
Mhm.
think prompting can feel scary to a lot of people. You don't want to, ask for the wrong things and then get some troll in your kitchen, right? Or something funny and not really usable. And I think for us, we really want to make it something that's simple to use, right? And a tool like a bestie that's there with you to ideate, right?
Yep.
Rather than something that can be a little overwhelming and scary to use at first.
Okay. So if you look way back on my Instagram to like last year, I was
Mhm.
trying out a ton of different apps that use this like method. So you upload a picture, it had a few different, prompts that you could do like boho or whatever, and you can kind of go over that image. And you had just mentioned like trolls in the kitchen. So basically what it was doing is like putting, little people over like a Buddha statue, and it was super creepy. So you and I have kind of talked about like there's going to be some weirdness, but in exploring your program, I have found like minimal weirdness when it comes to like finding alternative solutions when it goes over this. I don't know if that's a question, more of like this
Yeah,
is really
no.
cool and it works well.
And it's great to hear because part of our exploration as we were building this was let's start by making it a little tighter in the parameters. So with AI, you can really customize beyond just the prompt itself, the words you type, kind of
Mhm.
the level of creativity to my point of earlier adding a feature for creativity later down the road, right? But there are steps involved in Stable Diffusion. There are ways that you can keep it a little more realistic. And
Hmm.
so we've asked the AI model to essentially be less creative. And
Okay.
there's a phrase called hallucinating in AI, right?
Hmm.
Where it's intentionally supposed to hallucinate and be creative. We've asked it to be less so.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's probably why you're getting outputs that are maybe a little less funny and kind of crazy, but more something that someone can actually see in their room.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. So one of the major questions that I see in the interior design community is, can I take this line drawing that I created of this elevation, and maybe it came from CAD, maybe it came from Chief Architect or wherever it's coming from, and it's just a line drawing. It doesn't have any details, no specifications. This type of program that you've created is the what we've been looking for, really, because now we can take that image, prompt it with like, hey, I want to see this kind of countertop, I want to see, like the blue cabinets or whatever, and then it overrides that line drawing with those suggestions. Now correct me if
Mhm.
I'm wrong, but that is what
Exactly.
designers. Okay,
That's
cool.
exactly right. And our model really relies on those lines. So it's great that you can start with a sketch or,
Hmm.
a 2D render and make it more realistic with our program, right? And that's the whole intention, is to be able to start with those lines, because our AI model can identify exactly, we think this is a cabinet or we think this is a countertop, right? And so we will hopefully be able to launch that soon. We're just trying to get at the kinks with, sometimes there's text in these drawings, right? When
Hmm.
you're building your CAD files or whatever it might be. And so making sure we don't create some wonkiness with the words that are on the
Hmm.
file, but just really
Hmm.
focusing on the lines.
Yeah. So let's say somebody had a clean model right now, like a clean sketch, no words on it. They could technically put that in there and start
Absolutely.
exploring. Okay.
Absolutely. And we've tested this before, and it's very possible, because honestly, it might be better than a room photo because the lines are so
Mhm.
clear, right?
Yep.
So it can't get confused, which is great.
Yeah. That's going to change a lot of designers' lives. I don't know if you know that, but
All for
that,
efficiency and ease of use. So that's great.
yep. That's pretty epic. I love that. And it only gets better every single like day, right? You guys are just constantly working on this and it's constantly evolving. So that's
Yep.
exciting. I love that.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So what we kind of touched on, like there is a way for potential homeowners to use like one version of your product, and that is to use like preset design phases, design styles.
Mhm.
But then there's the designer element where it's more intricate. Can you kind of lend some insight as to like what the differences are between like the homeowners version and then the designer version?
Yeah, so the homeowners version will stay, for a better or worse of a word, basic, right? Like we
Hmm.
want it to be basic and that it's easy to use. You simply plug in a style, you get a photo out. We don't ask you to be creative like a designer with all the different ideas. Whereas for the designers platform, we want it to be a lot more sophisticated, right? Because we know designers have that capability to be more creative, ask it for more specific things, and honestly have maybe a bit more of a higher expectation. If you're using this for client meetings, we want to make sure this is presentable for you, right? And so as we're hopefully launching a subscription process soon for interior designers, it's really about giving those advanced features, for example, the custom design request, AI intensity, that toggle between being a lot more creative versus, staying relatively realistic, even choosing color palettes, right? Depending on what your client use cases are. And then to your point, the lines and sketching to actually rendering an output photo.
Okay, that's amazing. So that's kind of coming down the pipeline. You've already
Mhm.
said that this is fairly new. Honestly, it's fairly sophisticated for being as new as it is, just kind of exploring all these other programs that are out there. So kudos to you guys. Very good job on that. I can't wait. Honestly, I'm just so excited to see like
Thanks.
where this all evolves and where it all goes for just another tool in our
Yeah.
toolbox. So you said that subscription is coming soon, like maybe by the time this thing airs,
Yeah.
potentially. So where can people find? Is it an app? Is it a desktop? How do they find it?
Yeah, so we are desktop first, really, because we know the workflow starts for a lot of folks on their computers, right? We want to make
Mhm.
sure that this is accessible first and foremost on computers. It's at homevisualizer.ai. Super simple. Type that into your browser. We should pop up. And eventually down the road, we're learning from our customers every single day. So we would love to hear the feedback of if you would want an app, right, to use while you're
Mhm.
on the go at a client meeting, Happy to hear kind of what the use cases are, but we're first and foremost focused on desktop.
Okay, that's awesome. And thank you, because there's other apps out there that are like iOS only, and I'm like, I can't use
Yeah.
this. I use a
Yeah,
Samsung.
it's actually
So
perfect. I'm an iOS user, but my
mhm,
co-founder is Android, so we're both very much
mhm.
like we need to serve all parties
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Appreciate that. Thank you. So this is, I mean, fairly short because we can't show all the visuals. Guys, go check it out. Like, go play with it because it is fun. It's gonna seriously change the way that you do a lot of things, and like I said, only better and better every day. Is there any last final notes that you want to leave us with on maybe things in a pipeline, maybe where you see this going in the next few months because it's moving so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we want to create something that's approachable, and it makes me like literally my heart is so happy just hearing you say like this is one of the better ones that you've seen because that's our whole goal. You know, we when we were exploring the market, there were so many out there similar to us, but
Mhm.
they just kind of launched and then they live on
Mhm.
and they're not iterating and making it better and better. And the whole point of using AI is to use it to your benefit, right? And if you can actually improve the model as you're using it and improve it for designers use cases, like I think this is going to be so exciting for the industry and something that I think as an operator just makes life more efficient, which is always
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
And so yeah, all those features that I had listed before are definitely on the roadmap. Looking to also fill empty rooms if that's ever a need
Mm.
for folks to kind of envision. Part of this is also helping serve some of the real estate market, right? As I think
Mhm.
about virtual staging, but also for interior designers, you need just a kickstart on your brain of how you would furnish this room. Hopefully we can help,
Yeah.
in the ideation process as well, and just continuing to make it better. Honestly, we just want to make the outputs as best as possible, as realistic as no wonkiness with decor or tile placement. We just want to make it something that's easy to use and such a wow factor of like this actually worked and AI can
Mhm.
actually help me, and that's our whole goal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. And it does. Like, so let me give you an example and try and paint a picture here because this is a podcast of something that I just did the other day. So like I said, I've taken my kitchen and kind of like tried the preset design options, and they came out like, like everything stayed where it was in my picture. Just went over it with different colors, different textures, different finishes. But then I put in a render that I had created, and I create my renders in my Doma visualizer. So I took that image of like two chairs sitting in front of a window, and it was already kind of coastal looking, but I was like, all right, make this like more coastal looking, I guess. So it kind of changed the colors around, and it literally kept the integrity of every single item in that room, but just gave me like an entirely different look using a different color palette. So I actually, you know what, that one I did boho. So it like came out with a nice little red pillow instead of the blue color palette that I had before. There was like a mountain scene in the background, and it kind of changed that to be more of like a desert mountain, like out the
Nice.
window. Yeah, versus like the blue mountains. But everything was as it should be in this picture. It was just totally different, a different way to look at it. So I'm excited to now try this because I know that this is like pretty new with the line drawing stuff, and actually adding like the designer information on the back end where I can customize and not just select one style. So I'm going to go try that literally after we hang up, and I'm going to go run that line drawing through and see what different types of styles that I can come out with, because I think that is right now the biggest need for interior designers, and that's kind of what they're looking for in an app. So yeah,
Perfect.
it's
And
gonna be
we're
fun.
excited to kind of hear we can serve that need. And
Yeah.
also to your point of the integrity, like that's huge too, right? Like the ability to keep something, make it look like a real room,
Yeah.
instead of there are, visualizer tools out there that are not based on AI and they kind of look just
Hmm.
photoshopped. And
Yep.
so again, the wow factor of like, wow, this is actually
Yeah.
high integrity, great quality photo, which is
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. It's amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today and being my very first guest of my podcast. Yeah. So again, that is say your website one more time so that everybody knows. I'll put in the
Yep.
notes too.
It is homevisualizer.ai.
Perfect. All right. Thank you very
Awesome.
much. And guys, remember to share this one with your friends because they're going to want to know. Your designer friends are going to want to know about this one. And tune in next week. We'll be talking about a different topic in the world of AI as it pertains to interior design. All right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.